Sports cars don't have to be expensive to be fun. In fact, some of the most entertaining cars on the planet are the ones you can buy for cheap, drive hard without fear, and enjoy every single day without treating them like fragile museum pieces. When people hear sports car, they imagine supercars, massive horsepower, carbon fiber, and repair bills that could bankrupt a small country. But real fun isn't about flexing a badge. It's about the feeling you get when the steering talks to you, when the car rotates through a corner like it's alive, when you can ring it out without instantly doing prison speeds, and when every drive feels like an event. The best cheap sports cars all share the same recipe: lightweight, good handling, strong driver connection, and a platform that can take abuse without constantly begging for mercy. If you want maximum fun per dollar, you don't need a million horsepower. You need the right car, the right roads, and a mindset that values smiles over specs. Let's start with the king of cheap fun, the Mazda MX-5 Miata. It's almost impossible to make a list like this without mentioning it, because it's basically the benchmark for what fun means at low speed. The Miata is light, rear-wheel drive, simple, and unbelievably playful. The steering is quick, the shifter feels satisfying, and the car communicates everything through the seat and wheel. Even with modest power, it feels fast because you're close to the road and you're using the car's momentum. You can take it on back roads, throw it into corners, and feel like a hero without risking your license instantly. The Miata is also easy to work on, parts are everywhere, and the community is massive, which matters when you're buying cheap because you want something you can actually keep running. People joke about Miatas being small, but that's exactly why they're fun. Less weight means more agility, more feedback, and more control at the limit. If your goal is pure driving enjoyment, the Miata is basically the cheat code. If you want something that feels more serious, more planted, and a little more ground up while still being affordable, the Toyota 86 Subaru BRZ family deserves a spot. These cars are designed from the ground up for balance and driver engagement. They're rear-wheel drive, lightweight, and built around handling, not raw straight-line speed. The magic of the 86 and BRZ is how predictable they are. They teach you how to drive properly. You can feel the chassis load up, you can sense the grip building and fading, and the car invites you to play with weight transfer. They're the kind of cars that make you search for corners instead of highways. And because they're popular, you can find plenty of used examples, and the aftermarket support is huge, meaning you can tune the experience to match your style, whether you want a daily driver that's fun or a track-ready machine. Now let's talk about the car that gives you the most sports car feel for cheap money, the Porsche Boxster, especially the early generations. This is where a lot of people get surprised because Porsche sounds expensive, but an older Boxster can often cost the same as a newer economy car, and the driving experience is absolutely on another level. Mid-engine balance is real, and it makes the car feel like it pivots around you. The steering is sharp and natural, the chassis feels rigid and confidence-inspiring, and the car makes even normal roads feel special. The reason people hesitate is maintenance fear, and to be fair, you must be smart here. A cheap Porsche is only cheap if you buy the right one. But if you find a well-maintained example with records and you treat it properly, the Boxster is one of the best fun bargains in the sports car universe. The sound, the balance, and the way it carries speed through corners is addictive, and it gives you that true European sports car experience without needing a supercar budget. If you prefer Japanese reliability and you want a car that feels like a little go-kart with a mid-engine layout, the Toyota MR2 is another legendary cheap fun machine. The MR2 Spider, in particular, is massively underrated because people complain it isn't turbocharged like the older MR2. But that misses the point. The Spider is light, responsive, and pure. Mid-engine cars feel special because the weight distribution gives you a unique sense of rotation in corners. The steering feels immediate, and the car reacts quickly to driver inputs. It's the kind of car that makes you want to drive smoothly and precisely. It's not about brute acceleration. It's about that connected feeling. And because it isn't as hyped as other JDM legends, it can still be found at prices that make sense for normal people. For people who want cheap fun with a little more power and a more aggressive personality, the Nissan 355Z is a classic choice. The 352Z gives you a big, naturally aspirated V6 rear-wheel drive and a platform that can handle drifting track days and daily driving. It feels heavier than a Miata, but it also feels stronger and more muscular. The torque makes it easy to slide, easy to enjoy, and easy to drive fast without constantly shifting. The key when buying cheap 350Zs is avoiding abused examples. Many have been drifted, crashed, rebuilt, and modified badly. But if you find a clean one, it's an absolute bargain because it delivers genuine sports car feel with strong reliability. It's also one of those cars that still looks like a sports car, still sounds good, and still feels like a proper performance machine even though it's affordable. Now let's bring in a front-wheel drive option because yes, front-wheel drive can be extremely fun when it's done right. The Honda Civic Sai, Acura RSX Type S, and older Integra models are proof that you don't need rear-wheel drive to enjoy driving. These cars are lightweight, rev-happy, and built around driver control. A good Honda shifter is almost unbeatable for feel. The engines love to rev, the cars are easy to toss into corners, and they reward smooth driving. Front. Wheel drive fun is different. It's about momentum, throttle control, and carrying speed through corners. You might not be doing power oversteer drifts, but you'll be surprised at how enjoyable it is to drive a well-sorted FWD car on a twisty road. Plus, the reliability and low running costs mean you can drive it hard without stressing about every noise and vibration. Another cheap fun legend that deserves respect is the Ford Mustang, especially older GT models. This is a different kind of fun. It's not delicate, it's not perfectly balanced, in the same way as a Miata, but it delivers loud, violent, dramatic fun. A V8 Mustang gives you torque on demand, a great soundtrack, and that classic rear drive attitude. It's the kind of car that makes every on-ramp feel like a movie scene. The key is knowing what you're buying. Older Mustangs can be cheap, but maintenance and previous owner behavior matters. Still, if you want big smiles and you want a car that feels powerful without costing insane money, an older Mustang can deliver serious fun per dollar. If you want something that feels more like a precision tool, the BMW 3 Series, especially the older E36 and E46 generations, can be an incredible cheap sports sedan experience. These cars are famous for steering feel, chassis balance, and being fun even at reasonable speeds. They're not sports cars in the strict two-door sense, but they drive like driver's cars. The chassis is playful, rear-wheel drive makes them adjustable, and they feel planted and confident through corners. The warning here is maintenance. Old German cars can be affordable to buy, but expensive if neglected. But if you find a good one, it's like getting a budget performance machine that can do everything: daily drive, canyon carve, and even drift if you're irresponsible enough. And we can't forget about the cheap turbo fun category. Cars like the Volkswagen GTI, older Subaru WRX models, and Mazda Speed variants bring a different flavor. Turbo cars feel exciting because torque hits hard, and boost makes the car feel fast even when horsepower numbers aren't crazy. They're great for street fun because you get that punchy mid-range that makes everyday driving entertaining. The downside is that cheap turbo cars are often cheap for a reason. They're commonly modified and sometimes poorly tuned. So the smart approach is either buy a mostly stock example or buy from an owner who has documentation and did things properly. Turbo fun is real, but it rewards careful buying. Here's the truth: the most fun cheap sports car isn't one specific model. It depends on what kind of fun you want. If you want pure steering feel and playful balance, you want something light like a Miata or BRZ. If you want exotic handling and mid-engine magic, you want an MR2 or an older Boxster. If you want muscle and power for cheap, you want a 3050Z or a Mustang. If you want low-cost, high-rev joy and reliability, you want a Honda Performance Coupe or Hatch. The real secret is to buy the cleanest example you can, keep it simple, and spend money on the things that actually increase fun: good tires, fresh suspension bushings, quality brake pads, and proper maintenance. A cheap car with great tires feels better than an expensive car on worn-out rubber. A fresh suspension transforms a tired car into something that feels alive again. And once you've experienced a truly fun car on a great road, you realize the hype cars were never the point. So if you're hunting for cheap sports car fun, don't chase the internet's most famous choices. Chase driver feel, chase balance. Chase a car you can actually afford to maintain and drive hard without fear. Because the best sports cars aren't the ones that look good in photos. The best sports cars are the ones that make you take the long way home.